Hello, Mark Ray Larson here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining us. Today, my guest is Josh Jorgensen. How are you doing today, Josh?
Pretty good, pretty good. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing awesome. Like we just said, we both had our coffee, so we're ready for the day. So Josh, little background. Where are you located? Where are you from? Just a little bit better background.
Sure. We're here in Minden, Nebraska. I'm a born and raised Whippet here in Minden, and
Awesome.
I went to school here, grew up here. Family business was here. We farmed here. We grew up just a few miles south of town, and then the regular story: you go off to college, and then you start living life, and you never necessarily think you're going to live back in your small town, but I was fortunate enough to essentially work in college athletics for about 20 years, and
Wow.
it took me all around the country, from Louisiana to
Cool.
Texas to Tennessee. Even did a few summers out in Portland, Oregon. Like, it was just one of those great eye-opening experiences about how big our world is, and that you can get in your
Yeah.
vehicle and you can still get places and do different things. And you found yourself going, geez, I was just this regular kid in Minden, Nebraska. Now I'm doing, all this.
Yep.
But eventually it led us back to Kearney, to UNK, and I
Okay.
worked there for a couple years. And then the family, I got two kids and they were growing,
Uh
and
huh.
I had the chance to raise them on the farm. And I thought, you know what? That's a pretty good way to do
It
it. And
is
it happens to be on my great grandparents' original homestead, is where we're at and everything. So it's great to
so
have them
cool.
out there. And then was just farming, and enjoying the
Yep.
small town life. And then this position opened as the director of the Minden Chamber of Commerce. And because I had the marketing, the business background, I thought, you know what, I'd like to see if I could do that and see if I can help.
Right.
And it's just a part-time job here. I still farm south of town and everything, but it's one of those that I thought that if I can help out, let's do it. And so then
Amen.
I've been here for, I don't know if it's been a half a year or so, maybe 6 months or so, and
Okay.
just enjoying being part of the chamber here, getting back into meeting all the business owners
Yes.
and that sort of thing. And one thing we do here in Minden as the chamber is we put on a lot of civic events, and
Mm.
and
Yes.
that's become a large part that I don't know that I realized going into it. I thought
Uh
maybe it'd
huh.
be more on the business side, which it is, but luckily we've got a great board, and they do an amazing job. We split up all those events, and they
Okay.
each kind of take their own and they run with it. And I'm just here to support, and it works out
Awesome.
great.
That is so cool. So when this position came up, is was were you approached to do it, or just saw that it was open and just like I'm going to go for that?
Yeah, they posted something on Facebook, I suppose, and I saw it, and I thought, I looked through the qualifications. I think I
Uh huh.
qualify for this. So, I'm fortunate enough to have a really good educational background, and then
Yes.
you throw on the experience that I was able to get working in college athletics and stuff. So I think it became a good fit.
So college athletics was that? I always ask on the Dreamcatcher podcast here. What was that your dream growing up that you wanted to do that?
When I went to college, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I
Can
wanted
relate.
to do, as bad as it sounds, when I went to college, I wanted to pole vault. And
Oh
Nebraska
wow.
Nebraska Wesleyan said, "Yeah, you can come pole vault here." So that's what I went to college to do. I'm not condoning going to college just to play athletics. That's
Uh
not
huh.
always the best career route per se. But and then I kind of went into the education side. I thought, well, I could be a teacher, coach. I'd
Okay.
enjoy that. But um, pretty soon I needed a job, and there was jobs on campus that you could work the events, the soccer games,
Oh
football
wow.
games,
Okay.
basketball games, and stuff. And so I signed up for that, and I started working soccer my first semester, and
Nice.
uh, we had other friends on the track team that were on there, and they're like, "Well, Josh, this is a career, right? These jobs exist." And I thought, "Wow, I've never thought of it that way. Someone has to run
Mm-hmm.
all these events."
Uh-huh.
And the more I looked into it, and then I became a manager, along with there was always a handful of us there at Wesleyan that helped run all the events on campus. And then when I graduated, I thought, yeah, that's what I want to go into.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, the market was really getting flooded with grad students, and
Okay.
so even though I had great experience to apply for a job, they said, well, you need that master's degree. Okay,
No.
where am I going to
Yeah.
get this master's degree? So I
Mm-hmm.
started looking at schools, and luckily, the volleyball coach at Wesleyan at the time said, "Hey, Josh, I went down to Northwest Louisiana State down in Louisiana. I'm sure you can get in there." And I said,
Uh-huh.
"Okay, why not?" And
Yeah.
so I applied down there, and I got in my 1966 Ford pickup and drove down there.
I
And
love it.
that's how it was. I'm sure my mom was a little worried when I left that
I
day,
bet.
but I thought, we'll be all right one way or another.
You will be all right. Yeah, sometimes you wonder at the moment when you're doing it, but yeah, you will be. So, I mean, so what did you think of Louisiana? Was that what you thought it'd be like?
I really found out that I'm a warm weather person, not a cold weather person.
Me too.
The heat and humidity I didn't mind.
Okay.
I found out ways that you kind of deal with it down there, and it is what it is. And so
Yep.
it's it's a different culture. It's certainly a
Bet.
great food culture.
Yeah.
Um, there's so much to do down there, and so much to see, and that was one thing. We didn't necessarily travel a lot growing up. It's
Mm-hmm.
always hard whenever you own a family business or you're on the farm. You don't get a lot of
Yes.
time away at times.
Yes.
Um,
That is
so it was one
very
of
true.
those that for me, I learned because during college I did 2 internships out at Portland, Oregon, and I learned, you
Okay.
know what, Josh, if you get a chance, go farther away and see those places and experience that. You can always
Yes.
find a way to come back.
I think
And
that is very good
so,
advice.
you know, Louisiana was eye opening, and as a young person, it's a great thing to do. I think
Mm-hmm.
you learn a lot. You learn to be pretty. I don't know if stubborn's the right word, but you
I
learn to adapt and overcome, I should say.
No, I can understand that. So of all the places you went, I mean, I think your heart's in Minden, but is there another place you would move to if the opportunity came up?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, obviously, we had a lot of family in the area. My wife's from
Right.
Seward area. Her parents were living in Lincoln at the time. I've got a lot of family still in Nebraska, obviously. So it was good to come back to family.
Yep.
I always thought that when we moved to Tennessee, we're in Clarksville, Tennessee. It's just about
Okay.
45 minutes north of Nashville. The weather zone down there was pretty nice. It didn't get
Okay.
too hot, but it didn't get too cold in the winter. You rarely had some snow necessarily. It was one of those you still had the four seasons sort of thing. Um,
Sounds
Along
good.
that line, there's some places in southern Missouri I always tried to look at, and
Okay.
that was primarily, there was Missouri State. There was different universities
Right.
down there kind of in that Joplin area that I
Okay.
always thought those were about 6 hours from Lincoln at the time. And you could leave on a Friday afternoon, get back in time, enjoy your weekend, leave Sunday
Right.
afternoon, get back. And it didn't seem like you were on the road the whole time. Most of the
True.
places we lived, because we were in 2 different places in Louisiana, 2 different places in Texas,
Wow.
you it was a long drive, and luckily my kids
Yeah.
didn't mind being in the car because you're at 12, 13, 15 hours at times. It's like, oh my gosh, it's as you know,
Yeah.
when we get older we can't do that anymore.
Oh no. Well, we can, but we pay for it for a long time
Yeah,
afterwards. That is for sure. So for the audience, you're a farmer also. What do you raise?
sure, it's pretty traditional here around here. It's corn and soybeans. We did popcorn last year. That was fun.
Cool.
um, uh, sorry about that.
That's all right.
We've got some cattle, we've got a
Yeah.
small livestock, and that's primarily it. You don't get too far off the path right now. I'm always looking. I
Sure.
a friend of mine, he farms with me, and we call it Farmer U, like Farmer University,
Okay. I
because
like that.
and the reason we call it Farmer U is because we're always trying to learn, and sometimes we
Yes.
learn by failing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of new equipment, so we're fixing a lot of things. It's pretty much
Mm-hmm.
hands on sort of way, but we're always learning. Every single day,
Yes.
something pops up,
Important.
and I've always said, that's the same way that athletics was. When you'd
I
go
can
into
see
the
that.
office, unfortunately, you didn't know what you were going to face that day, but
Mm-hmm.
it's always changing. And so in the
Right.
fall, you might have volleyball, football, and soccer. And then in the winter, you've got basketball and some indoor sports. And then in the
Right.
spring, you'd have baseball, softball, different things to go
Mm-hmm.
back outside. Well, I said that's the same thing about farming. In the spring, we do the planting, we do all these sorts of things. In the summer, it's irrigating, it's
Yep.
trying to catch up with the weeds, and then in the
Yeah.
fall,
Exactly. Yeah.
it comes harvest time and you're onto it, and then in the winter, it's a little more relaxed, and you can get some
Get
other
ready.
things done. And so it's neat to have that cycle. You don't get
It
bored
is.
by any means, and so we're always trying to learn, trying to be better for that next year, essentially.
I think that's great. And talk about learning in today's world. And farming has, I used to farm with my dad and stuff, and it has come so far from when that was the case. I mean, anybody who hasn't been on a farm, there's so much technology anymore. It floors me what has gone on in, I mean, it's just, I, I would have to go back to school to learn, get caught up on that. I mean, it just unbelievable.
Well,
So,
and even, I mean, I was away for 20 years essentially, and growing up, we were more of the manual labor on the farm
mhm.
necessarily than the
Right. I can
tractor
relate to that.
drivers and truck drivers. So it was one of those that, Dad's like, "Well, go and move that tractor." I'm used to the old John Deere machinery, and you're jumping into
Yep.
something that was still old, but it was way different. So I had to
Oh, yeah.
relearn everything as well.
Yeah. No, it is today's world. I mean, you think you got caught up on, or even this technology we're using right here. I mean, it about changes every time I use Riverside, and then I'm studying AI right now, which is intriguing to say the least. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, I see
it'll
potential. I
change
see a
our
lot.
world, I'm sure, just like everything
It,
else has. But AI is it'll be interesting to see the effects of that.
it will. Yeah, we're just starting to see it unfold, and boy, my gosh. I mean, it has potential, but there's a lot of disruption there too. That's for sure. Minden, the Christmas city. So, do you decorate a lot at your house for Christmas?
I'm I was a fan of Christmas because my birthday is
Me
December
too.
21st, and so I always enjoyed that time of year.
Hmm.
And obviously, growing up here, when you'd see those lights on, you just knew it
Yes.
was different. It's not
Yep.
something that everyone gets to see every single day like we did through that month of December,
Exactly.
essentially.
Yeah.
And also growing up here in town, our bakery was down on the square, and
Hmm.
so
It
it's
was good
one thing
too.
that sticks in my mind was that we had to make sure and turn the neon lights off in the window so
Oh
that when
yeah.
the pageant was on, nothing else was on. And it's
Right.
just a small detail, but it was always something like, oh yeah, it's just a little different. It's something.
Yep.
But then you would come up here and see 20 tour buses at the one end of the
Yeah.
square, and it just blow your mind how big of an event that was at the time.
Yeah, it is amazing. Anybody who's never seen it, I mean, I see it every year, and it just still, my mouth drops open. It's like I am so thankful Minden still does all that. So,
Yeah,
but Josh, for people who have never been to Minden, what would they expect to find if they came to Minden this coming Christmas?
sure. Well, and we've got it on the chamber website. Like I said, the chamber kind of serves as the visitors bureau slash events slash
Okay.
everything. In a small town, you wear a lot of different hats and stuff. But we,
Yes.
so on the websites, essentially from the middle of November through the middle of December, we call it the Christmas traditions. And
Hmm.
there are events going on for that whole month. Some are
Yes.
during the week, some are mostly on weekends, but there's family things, there's adult, more oriented things. It's just so many different things going on, and we try to get that word out and still
Yes.
say, hey, we're here. We know times have changed. Times have really changed over the years,
They
and
have.
how people react to those different events. A live production of the pageant is just seen differently now as it
Yeah.
was 20, 30, 50 years ago. And so
Yep.
that's one thing that we've got to take in mind. One thing I'm looking at is actually partnering with a local company and streaming the first showing of the
Nice.
pageant. And
Okay.
just because, I look at it and say, look, I was one of, I think there was 22 of us grandchildren, and there's
Okay.
only four of us that still live here in town. So all of
Okay.
my family has moved away, and I want to remind them, hey, the pageant's still going on. And the
Yes.
one way to do that is to stream it so that they'll watch that and say, you know what? We need to go back sometime and show our kids this now.
Yes.
And we've got those capabilities. If we can do that, we're going to try to do that. But it really stems from everything kicks off this year, November 15th, with Ladies Night Out,
Okay.
and it's a fun event downtown for the ladies to come to. And then the next night, we've got a brand new event called the Christmas City Ball, which will be
Wow.
it'll be a little fundraiser for the chamber.
Okay.
But and we've got to show people we need to do a fundraiser. We're a nonprofit, obviously, but all those events we put on throughout the year, if we've got more funds to do that, then we can make those events even bigger and better.
Yes.
Maybe it allows us to do different programming for businesses here in town, whether that's bringing in marketing, gurus or different
Right.
ways to show that this is how you can help your business, and these are people that have resources for you. Um,
Yes.
One thing I've looked at too is that a lot of grants that we need to apply for need seed money. And so
Okay.
if we can bring in some fundraising and have that seed money set aside, they'll match a bunch of that sort of thing. So it
Awesome.
just, there's that side. This year, I'm not looking to raise thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I want butts in the seats and to have a great event. That's really what
Yes.
we're trying to do for that Christmas
Yes.
City Ball. And then after that, then we look towards that first weekend after Thanksgiving where we've got a parade, we've got petting zoo, we've got Santa down here to take pictures with.
Important. Yes.
We'll crown Miss Christmas City, and then the pageant will be that time. That next weekend, December 8th, there's the fun run. Let's
Nice.
see here, things like the tour of homes is back. We're trying to get some
Cool. That's always good.
exciting things for that set up. I know I've had calls from people from Lincoln saying, "Hey, when's the tour of homes? What are we doing with it? We're going to be there."
Wow. That's
And so
awesome.
that'll be a fun run or a fun one. And then there's also there's different pancake feeds throughout all those weekends that the different civic
Very
groups
nice.
put on. Um, and then the final weekend will be that December 15th. Obviously, the lights usually go till New Year's around
Yes.
that time, so people can still get to town and see that. But
Yeah.
no,
It's
there's a month full,
amazing.
just chocked full of events.
That is so cool. And for anybody who has not seen the lights, it goes back a long time. I think way over 100 years.
Yes.
So, I mean, how many lights and where are they at? And just kind of a little background on that.
It there used to be more because it used to run from the train station all the way to downtown. On Colorado Street, it ran out to the tracks, I believe, and then down 4th and 5th Street. Uh,
Wow.
Obviously, those, and they all don't last throughout the season. So when
No,
they get them down, you got to fix all of them and stuff.
I
With
bet.
today's technology, obviously they're looking and saying, how can we get LEDs that can look the same?
I
They
can
use
definitely understand that.
way less energy. They seem to last longer at times. I know there's it's one of those necessary evils,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually, on top of our gorgeous courthouse, we're going to have to
Uh-huh.
redo that dome at some point.
Oh,
No
wow.
one
Okay.
knows quite what year that is. We're hoping it's past. So in 2027 is Minden's 150th celebration.
Oh, wow. Cool. I did not know that.
And so we've got plans going on now to
Yeah.
uh, really have a fun year of events for the 150th, and that'll be in 2027. So obviously,
Cool.
we want the dome up during that time for everyone to come
Exactly.
back and
Yeah.
see. But it's like I said, it's one of those things. Eventually, you got to redo some things. Well, how can we redo it and
You
make it
do.
better? And
Yes.
and so that's kind of on the forefront of the city planners and what they're all going on.
Sure.
So it's just it's you can easily Google. We've got the picture up on our website. There's just so many picturesque ways that courthouse and those lights have
Yeah.
been shot,
It
and
is
it's
amazing.
maybe we'll have to do try to come up with a count and do a raffle of some sort and see who can get the closest number to the number of lights. You know.
I think that sounds like a great idea. I love that idea. That is cool. I mean, that is very cool. So, and you're talking about pictures. I think there was one last year, 2 years ago, with a drone from the top down. I mean, that was an amazing picture of the square with the courthouse lit. I mean, drones are amazing. So,
and and we
and
were
I, and
trying to
I
think of on 2027 for the 150th, if we can
uh,
get, if the weather's right, obviously, if someone
right,
would take people up into the plane, and fly around and get those
yes,
pictures, and those are
yeah.
just different views that you never get to see.
And I can't imagine it would look like from that. I mean, that would be. I mean, I would miss Christmas if I didn't have the. I am so glad. I mean, I've been Mr. Christmas for a lot of years, and I had a Christmas collection here. So that always that's my favorite time of the year.
Yeah,
And I kind of December 8th, when you were talking about, that's my birthday, and that's kind of how I got started loving Christmas so much. My parents always, we put the Christmas tree up, or they let me put the Christmas tree up that
yeah.
day, and yeah, I mean, that just, and all the stuff you got going on. And I can't imagine what the electricity is or how long they keep the lights on. I mean, I can see why LEDs would be something to look into. So for the pageant, were you ever part of the pageant?
I wasn't. Obviously, I had family and friends that were all part of it, but it didn't work out for us to be in it. My oldest brother may have been. He was in a lot of community player stuff and
Okay,
singing and all that sort of thing. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know I had cousins and family that were all in it.
awesome. I mean, that is so cool. So is the pageant on two sides of the square now, or is there, I can't even remember
Yeah,
what
it's
two sides?
as far as I know, is planned this year. It'll be on the north and the west sides.
North and west side. Okay, so
And we
so
set
oh,
up,
go
we
ahead.
have fun with it. We set up fire pits and roast marshmallows as long as the weather's somewhat decent,
Yes.
and it's just one of those things. It brings a lot of people to town still, and it's great to see all that. And it's something that we need to continue, and hopefully it will keep continuing no matter what.
It is amazing. And I think, was it last year that NBC News came out and put it on their site? Or I mean that I mean, it was good, but it still, that just doesn't do justice with coming and being in person here. I
Yeah,
mean, it just if the weather is halfway decent, I'm usually there. I mean, it's usually, if it's cold, if the wind's not blowing, it's still not too bad. But the people doing the pageant is the ones I feel for, because I mean,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
no.
What
So
they
So moving on past Christmas, what are some other things coming up for 2025 in Minden?
few things. Obviously, throughout the year, we do our salute to ag, which is our blue jeans and barbecue. That's usually in
Okay.
March, if I remember right. Um, and that's out at the fairgrounds, and that's always a fun event. Live band. That'll be the 10th
Right.
year, I believe, of that event, so that'll be a fun one. And then going throughout the year, when school gets about done, we have dog days up here on the square. It's a fun
Yep.
civic event. Bring the bounce houses, get everyone down there. That's always good. One thing that we're contemplating, we're trying to see if we want to do we'll call it Christmas in July,
Okay.
but it'll include the Minden City Olympics of some sort, and
Cool.
just something fun in the middle of summer to get people back around town. It's one of those that usually in the summer everyone's busy. We get it. Whether
Yes.
you're on
Yes.
vacation, you're traveling, you're doing those sorts of things,
Yep.
but we're trying to come up with a plan that might be something fun, and obviously the fireworks, the big fireworks show, the chamber puts that on out there at the
Cool.
fairgrounds, and so it's always evolving. It's always finding
Yep.
ways to try to make things a little bigger, a little better.
Yes.
Obviously, we know that the town has finally gone over 3,000 for the first time that we ever knew, and so
Yes.
we've got the people. You want to
Yes.
keep them engaged, and
Amen. Yes.
and it's as simple as every Monday I put out a video on our Facebook page of telling everyone
Okay.
what's going on for the next month or for the next week, I should say.
Very good. I
And
love that.
and yeah, the calendar's listed on our website, but it's one of those fun things. I know people are on Facebook, they seem to listen to it and watch it and
True.
say, "Oh, I didn't know that was coming up." So it's just keeping them informed, keeping them engaged, and I use the hashtags are probably old school now, but I use the
I
hashtag
still use
in Minden, and
it.
try to tell people there's things going on. And no, not
Yes.
everything is for everyone, but
True.
you can still enjoy it, and there's something going on in Minden.
Yes. And Minden, it's growing. We're situated between, there's quite a few people in central Nebraska. We're not very far really from the interstate. We have an amazing opera house, museum that's making progress forward quite a bit. And there's just so many things going on in Minden. You can just tell the vibe has changed. You know, it's just, I'm going to talk about my hometown. So I mean, it's just, but it
Well,
is.
we
I can see a difference.
one thing when I began this job, and it's a dreaded word, but someone said, "Oh my gosh, we were talking to people, and they said Minden has so much potential,"
It
and
does.
and that's great. But
Yep.
if you don't do something with that potential, then it's just wasted. And that was
True.
one reason that I wanted to see if I could help out in any way with the town and sort of thing, and say, look, what can we do to reach that potential?
Yes.
Yeah, the population's grown. Is it younger families? Is it an older generation moving to town off the farm? I do see a lot of that.
I
The
can see
baby
that. Yeah.
boomers that are retiring out there on the farms are moving into town, which is great. We'd love to have them still here. But, personally, I hate to see farmsteads go down out in the country.
Me too.
That's really what built this area. But
Yep.
it's part of it. I get it. But we need to make sure that we're ready for that growth if we can keep sustaining it. Minden has several housing developments going on.
Yes.
There's some buildings downtown that they're looking at renovating and putting into apartments and different things
Yes.
like that. Um, like I said, we've got the village. I call it almost a renaissance. They're
Yeah.
really
Yes.
going through a lot out there, and it's great to be part of that.
Yes.
The hospital is amazing here in town. The
It
school
is.
system is thriving.
Yep.
And we're lucky as a small town essentially to have some really big industries with everyone
Mhm.
from Grace and Tool on the west side to Royal Plastics, Ward Crafts out on the east side of town. On the
Yes.
south side, you've got Patriot Equipment down there on the south end of town, and any place in between. It's great to have those businesses in town, which keep people employed, and
Yes.
we know the housing market's still tough. It's certainly something that we're looking at trying to help, along with Daycare. Believe it or not, daycare
Yeah.
in small towns is a big one. And we've got a meeting in October, and the public's invited to that. It'll be a chamber event along with some other groups here in town up at the Opera House. But that one's October, I want to say the 23rd. I might be wrong. I'll have to look that up. But
Okay.
it's simply about daycares and how can we solve that problem. If you're going
Right.
to bring
Yeah.
in families, they got to have a place for their kids to stay.
They do.
And so there's a lot to do. There's a lot of ways to go. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? It's the same way with
Yeah.
the hotel situation. Since the
Yes.
Village Hotel is shut down currently, we need a place to stay. We could host more
We
events
do.
at the Opera House, or we could host more events around town if we have that. Well,
Yeah.
we need the event first to show the need for a hotel, or do you have the hotel and then the event comes
Yeah.
because
Which.
of it?
Yeah.
It's just one of
Yeah.
those things. But we certainly are always looking at those things, going, okay, how can we keep reaching that potential and pushing that further down the road?
Yes. No, and it will show up. I know it is tough, and it's a big expenditure to put a new motel in. Everything's expensive in today's world,
Yeah.
but yeah, that would help Minden, I believe, overall greatly. I mean, everybody I talked to is just from the Opera House well, even the library. If they wanted to have stuff there at the library, and so yeah. But I have no doubt that will be soon the solution will present itself on
Hopefully,
that.
hopefully,
Yes. So
I suppose if we win the lottery, then maybe we could just finance it ourselves. But
there you go. Yeah, I like that. That sounds like a good deal. So Josh, before we end the podcast, is there anything else you would like the audience to know about what you do in Minden and everything coming up?
like I said, we're fortunate, even though we're in central Nebraska and many places would call us very rural areas.
Yeah.
It really is a great place to live, and it's just
Yes.
not Minden. Holdridge is doing an amazing job
It
everywhere
is.
from.
Yeah.
I look at the other small towns. Gothenburg has a strong chamber and events committee. Everyone from York, central Nebraska is very fortunate in many different ways.
Yes.
And this is kind of off the path, but we have water out here. That's something that
Yes.
people don't, they take it for advantage. But we've got that. We've got industries out here. We've obviously got the farm market out here. We've got great education resources from
We do.
four-year institutions like UNK and Hastings
Yes.
College to the community college programs that are doing an amazing job, and
They are.
even reaching out to some of these small towns and having little satellite offices and that sort of thing. And that's something that not all states have. If you go around and look at this,
True.
yeah, we're still a flyover state, but we
Yeah.
have amazing resources out here that a lot of people don't know. And
Okay.
as you've said, we've talked before. Hastings is
Mhm.
doing a great job downtown.
It is.
Kearney is
Yeah.
always growing.
Yep.
That's something that shoot, Grand Island's doing the whole new mall and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
I, as a
No, this
kid,
area is.
I used to love going over there. They had a football card shop that we'd love to go to,
Uh
and
huh.
you
Yep.
know, it's just one of those things that Central Nebraska is a special place, and
It is.
we certainly invite anyone to check it out. And yeah, Nebraska's not for everyone. We
True.
understand that, but it is a special place to us. We were
Yes.
fortunate enough to grow out here and learn the morals of the area and have
Yep.
a lot of respect for life. But it's one of those that we're certainly proud of what we do here in Minden, the Christmas city, but we're always looking to be better and see what we can do.
Awesome. And I know what you mean. Central Nebraska is special. I mean, I like to travel, but I'm always really glad to come home. I mean, they can have a lot of that. It's just, and people dismiss me as saying, "Well, you're from Nebraska." It's like, yeah, probably not for you then.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
come out and see what we got. But yeah, they definitely they're Interstate 80. They go through and that's about all they see, and they just say it's so flat. It's like, Nebraska's not all flat. There's so much
Yeah,
more to see than Interstate 80. That is for sure. So, but well, Josh, thank you for joining us on the Dreamcatcher podcast. I really appreciate that, and I look forward to Christmas. I always look forward to Christmas, but I look forward to the courthouse and everything else that you mentioned today. So, and if there's anything anything I can do further to help, I'm on board. Just I definitely this podcast is just a little bit that I can do. But if there's anything else, I want to help. So, and if anybody else would like to help, what are your hours? What hours are you in your office?
yeah. Like I said, it's just a part time, but thankfully with cell phones, we're always around.
Yeah.
My office hours are Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 8 to noon.
Okay.
If anyone needs to stop by, or obviously they can email, call. They
Okay.
can get a hold of me at any time. It's understood. But yeah, we try to do what we can down here, and we're willing to help out businesses around here in any way we can, and that's really the true measure of the chamber.
Very nice. So, well, Josh, thank you, and I look forward to keeping in touch and maybe doing a follow-up podcast down the line, in the future there. So, but I
Absolutely.
will let you go. Thanks again for joining us, and have a good rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.